didn't know until, they had me take some German prisoners back down to the beach and turn them over to the MPs. And it was then that I guess some medic said, "Are you all right?" And he saw the blood in my jacket here. So he patched me up, and that's how I lost my 83rd Division jacket and became a 1st Division man. Let me see here. Where are we? About mid-July, I think. And they finally reunited me with my original division, the 83rd. And I remember standing in a foxhole. I was up to here. They had moved us back. I don't know why. We were on a sort of a rise and looking down into a lower part. And eventually I saw a German anti-aircraft gun move into position down below me here. And while I was standing there in that foxhole, I heard this drone, and I looked up and I'm seeing this, looked like thousands of planes to me, bombers, coming up, swarms and swarms of bombers coming across. I saw one explode into flames before they made a right flanking turn and came across our lines, began dropping their bombs. And it was an earthquake, really shaking us up. And the newspapers and the reports said 3,000 bombers had come over that day, the 25th and 26th of July, I'm pretty sure it was. And they really bombed the heck out of that territory. The sad thing about that was our American bombers were bombing American troops, accidentally, of course. And there was quite a few Americans killed. And one large ammunition dump set off by the American bombers. They finished the bombing run and then headed to another right flank and headed back across the channel. Next morning, there was patrols went out and into the German lines, and they found a whole bunch of Germans that were, bleeding at the nose and the ears, and they were shocked. They were in total shock. Some of them just sitting there with a blank look on their face, and that was no indication that the Germans were beaten, and that there was a strong armed force behind these guys. Then came the breakthrough. We got the code name of that. And after that breakthrough, we were attached to General Patton's 3rd Army, and assigned to the fight in the peninsula of Brittany, and especially capture a large fortified city on the coast that was needed for landing supplies. We took that city and then the city beside it. Anyway, Patton had to turn around and head back. He couldn't wait to get to the Rhine River. He was a real desperate man. He got in those tanks and nothing could stop him. He was almost a maniac, I guess. Well, we were assigned to guard or protect his right flank going through France. He was heading back east instead of west. On the Rhine River, there was some kind of a rite that people had to go through. You probably heard of Churchill and General Patton. Their rite of passage was urinating in the Rhine River. Well, the fellows I was with decided on something else. we run across a German a battery of 88 artillery pieces. And one of the jokers said, let's fire one of those things. Let's fire that thing. And so, well, we're for that. So we jumped down into this gun pit, about 4 feet deep. And one of the guys seemed to know how to operate the breech block on that 88. And I got one of the shells from the storage in the side of the gun pit. And we loaded that thing and fired it across the Rhine River. That was our rite of passage. You know, it seemed later on, it took all the fun and joy out of it because where did that shell go? Now we were in line for some woods fighting. South of the ancient city of Aachen was a series of forests, and it got to be known as the Hurtgen Forest. I don't like even the sound of that in my mouth, and a horrible place. It was a 50 square mile piece of territory in Germany. This is in Germany. And the land was full of real steep hills, heavily wooded with old growth timber, and very steep ravines, steep and foggy, muddy, and fortified with mines and barbed wire entanglements. And the Germans had taken evacuated the civilians there and have fortified their homes with, steel and concrete. Fortified those people's homes so they looked like an innocent house there in the village, but it was a fort. I just hate to think back on that. It was such a slaughter. One division, the American division after another, the 9th Division, the 28th, the 4th, 1st, were sent in there and were slaughtered by the Germans. It was a massacre. And apparently the high command didn't get the message that they weren't getting through there, and they kept sending one unit after another into that forest. And there were so many stories. I hate to keep skipping ahead, but there was hours worth of stories connected with that place.